P3 or not P3? That is the question, or at least one of the big questions when it comes to planning sewage treatment for the capital region. There has been strong public debate about the possibility that the CRD will go for the public-private partnership model for the sewage project that's worth roughly $1 billion. On Tuesday, the president of the Vancouver Island Construction Association added his voice to that debate. Greg Bainton told us a P3 sewage project would not be good for local industry.
Our concern is, or our members' concern is, that they not be precluded from the opportunity to participate in this. And if the CRD is compelled to use a model where huge contracts are bundled, they're talking about bundling $250 million to $500 million packages, and either a hybrid or P3 model, it basically excludes the entire local market and will likely only attract international competition.
That was Greg Bainton, the president of the Vancouver Island Construction Association, speaking on the show a couple of days ago. For his take on this now, I'm joined by Larry Blaine, who is CEO of Partnerships BC. Larry Blaine, good morning to you.
Hey, Gregor. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us. And what's your response to the Construction Association's concern about the possibility of local builders getting largely shut out of the sewage project if it does become a P3?
Well, if we look at our experience to date around the province of BC, we've done some $10 billion worth of projects in every city in British Columbia, and all of those projects have been good for the local economy. Like the biggest example, the largest project would be the Canada Line, where literally hundreds of subcontractors worked on the project. The Golden Ears Bridge was another large project, and again, literally hundreds of local contractors worked on that project. The only one that we've had on Vancouver Island to date is the Royal Jubilee Hospital project, which is a very successful project. I think it's going to generate savings for taxpayers, and it's also employing some 20 local and British Columbia-based firms are pouring the concrete, the mechanical subtrades, the electrical subtrades, consultants. They're all involved in the project. So I don't really accept the point that it's not good for the local economy. We make these projects happen once they're identified as being viable from the government's point of view, and we generate a lot of jobs. There's 550 jobs on the Royal Jubilee project.
What do you make of his assertion that it could be more if it were done in a public model and the thought of local jobs were given a higher priority, and his claim that bundling these contracts into quarter or sometimes $500 million bundles often excludes local businesses from taking the overriding lead on the contracts?
Projects are large or small based on engineering consideration, like what makes the most sense from a construction point of view. Some projects are more amenable for larger companies and some for smaller. And it's early days yet on the CRD wastewater treatment project. We've just received a draft business case. It's not at all clear how that is going to be procured, but it could be a wide range of different procurement models. And there should be lots of opportunity for everybody.
Greg Bainton put forward the viewpoint as well that Partnerships BC is, in his mind, inherently biased towards one type of procurement option, that your executives essentially get big bonuses for delivering those procurement methods, your P3 partnerships in particular. What's your response to that claim?
Our objective is to do good deals for the people of BC, and we reject most of the projects that we look at as not being appropriate for public-private partnerships. We do an early screening process, and most construction projects that the government is involved in are not the most appropriate for public-private partnerships. The ones that are tend to be the larger, more risky ones where we can transfer business risks over to our private partner, and those we look at in more depth. And some large projects are not appropriate for public-private partnerships. We've had a number of cases where we've worked on projects that were not public-private partnerships, but which were large projects. A great example is the Pitt River Bridge, where we applied our methodology, which is a methodology which is used across Canada and, for that matter, around the world, came to the conclusion that there wasn't value for money there, and so it was done in a more traditional model. So I don't think it's fair or appropriate to think that we're biased.
What about the transparency question? What do you think of concerns that there could be a lack of transparency in the process of deciding what type of project it will be?
So I would argue that we are more transparent than government tends to typically be. All of our documents are available on our on our website. Anything that government does, the Freedom of Information Act, people can apply to get the information. That's the case whether it's a public-private partnership or whether it's a traditional project. In our case, we have an even higher standard of disclosure whereby we put all of the documents on our website, whether people are asking for them or not. And in addition, for everything that we do, we have a fairness monitor. It tends to be a legal type of person who attends every meeting that we are involved in, takes notes, and at the end of the process provides us an opinion, which we make public, that the process was fair, that it was competitive, and that it was transparent. And we do that on every project that we work on.
But what about the claim that within that, if you do award it to a big multinational partnership, that their dealings within that framework, once the bigger contract is awarded, aren't necessarily as transparent as all of the details would be under a strictly public model?
If you hire a contractor to build a house for you, you don't tell the contractor what subtrades to use, and that's basic business, and that's what we do. So once we reach an arrangement with our contractor, we want that contractor to go out and as efficiently as possible do the job that he's been contracted to do.
But isn't that
we do stay away from that? Yeah.
But isn't that the whole point of Greg Bainton's argument, that if I was just concerned about getting a house built and I didn't care about the employment along the way, as might be the case, that would be a rationale for only approaching it from that point of view? But isn't his point that as a public agency, the government and your agency should be looking at the wider economic implications, and that you should be concerned about the way it's built and the employment and the economic downstream benefits?
We want to get the best possible deal for taxpayers and the people of British Columbia. And as I've been mentioning, in addition, with these projects, we end up generating a lot of local jobs and a lot of business for local contractors. So I think we achieve the best of both worlds with these projects, and we make them happen faster.
Larry Blaine, we're out of time, but I do appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks very much for taking our call.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's Larry
Bye-bye.
Blaine, Chief Executive Officer of Partnerships BC.